class 8. Today we are going to complete the chapter which deals with the rise of regional powers. So far we have done the British expansionist policy, first by Lord Wellesley and second I was discussing about Lord Dalhousie. I have discussed the subsidiary alliance of Lord Wellesley for the British colonial expansion in India. Today, let me explain more about Lord Dalhousie's expansionist policy. Similar to Lord Wellesley, Dalhousie also had implemented 3 ways to conquer the Indian native kingdoms. The first one was to conquer by war. Next one I have told you that it was on the pretext or plea of misrule, and the third one was to conquer by the doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse was very instrumental in the expansion of the colonial rule in India, as I have told that it was an age-old tradition in the Hindu culture that if a married couple did not have or do not have a biological heir, then that couple is allowed to adopt someone from their choice as their next successor. So, doctrine of lapse said that the native kings who did not have any biological heir would not be allowed to maintain their kingdom under the control of their adopted heir. In that case, their kingdom was to be transferred or handed over to the British East India Company. So, if a native ruler did not have his own child, then the kingdom would be handed over to the British East India Company. They were not going to accept the adopted heir as the successor to the throne. So, with the implementation of doctrine of lapse, many kingdoms, many native kingdoms were taken up by British East India Company. Satara, Udaipur, Jaipur, Sambalpur, Jhansi, the most important one. This doctrine of lapse, Lord Dalhousie's own brainstorm it was. He had not taken the approval of the British government for implementation of this policy. Besides, it was only meant for the Hindu native rulers. The Muslim native rulers had no problem with this doctrine of lapse because it was not applicable to the Muslim rulers. It was only applicable for the Hindu native rulers. Now the expansionist policies of Lord Dalhousie had great repercussions or effects. First of all, the Indians started to become dissatisfied in a great extent, and as a result there was an anti-British feeling amongst the Indians, and they think, the historians basically, they think that it was one of the major cause for the happening of the Great Revolt of 1857, about which we are going to learn afterwards. Now, Lord Dalhousie is very much responsible for the making of the modern India. That is why he is also given the title Father of Maker of Modern India. Because of his policies, many native kingdoms, British control over the Indian soil had expanded a great extent. So he had created a different British colonial India. His policies had created a different British colonial India. That is why he is known as the father of maker of modern India. He had also implemented various developmental work like PWD, extension of the GT road, then construction of railways. It was during his rule that railways in India was introduced. Then the universities of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras, they were also set up during the rule of Lord Dalhousie. For all these reasons, he is known as the father of maker of modern India. Now, next topic and the last topic of this chapter is the Anglo-French conflict or Anglo-French rivalry in India. Now the British and the French both had come to India for only one purpose, that was to do business. Now when the British had seen the disturbing political situation, that the rulers were not united, the Mughals had become very weak to keep a strong hold on the empire, they started to take the advantage of the situation and started to expand their political control over Indian soil. Now the French, who were the rivals of the British in Europe, they also thought that if the British were trying to expand their political hold over India, then they would also do the same thing, because they also wanted the economic control on the Indian markets and the raw materials that they were extracting from India. But in Bengal and in South India mostly they were involved in this rivalry. More than 20 years there had been the Anglo-French rivalry in India. Now in order to get the control of southern India, both the British and the French East India companies got themselves involved in the civil war in Carnatic region. Now Carnatic region, there were the rulers Chanda Sahib and the Anwaruddin and Muhammad Ali. They were the rivals to each other. Chanda Sahib was supported by the French, while the other two were supported by the Nizam of Hyderabad and the British. So there was the rivalry, they involved in this rivalry, both British and the French. Now the main causes of the conflict were the in Europe, in Austria, the British and the French were involved in the Austrian war of succession as to who would be the next ruler in Austria. Whether it would be the French supportive some dynasty or the British supportive some dynasty, they were involved in that rivalry in Austria in Europe. Next was the obviously to get the commercial control in the Indian markets and in the over the raw materials in India. Next, the French were not so successful in setting up of trading centers and the seaports in India like the British. So obviously they wanted to expand or improve this condition. They wanted to establish more trading centers in India in order to expand their trade. Other cause was to establishment of political domination and the this Anglo-French rivalry in India. It continued from 1744 to 1763. The first Anglo-French war occurred in 1744, where the French general Dupleix had defeated the British. That was the only success of the French in the long drawn rivalry. Only in the first Anglo-French war in 1744, the French were able to gain victory over the British. And the British had to sign the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748 in order to ensure the peace, and the British had got back the city of Madras, or the presidency of Madras. And in this way, British get control of the southern India, basically the Tamil Nadu part. Next, Second Anglo-French War, it occurred in 1749, which went in the favor of the British. And in the Third Anglo-French War in 1756, the French general Lally was defeated by the English general Sir Eyre Coote, and in the battlefield of Wandiwash. And by the peace treaty of Wandiwash in 1761, the French company lost all their political domination in India, and they had to hand over the monopoly of trade to the British East India Company. So British had become virtually the masters of South India. They had already got the control in Bengal. Now with the end of the Anglo-French rivalry, they had become the masters of the southern India also. And there were many reasons for the French defeat. One of the reason was that the French general were not so efficient like the English general. Secondly, the French East India Company had to depend upon the funds from France. The economic crisis was there. But the British did not have to do so. After they got the control over Bengal, they could get the economic help from India itself. They did not have to depend upon the British government. Thirdly, the British government had full support in the colonial expansion in India. However, the French government was not bothered to expand. The political expansion was not their concern. So all these reasons resulted in the French failure in the Indian soil against the British. So here we conclude this lesson. Along with this video, I will be giving you the PDF, as well as we will be solving the question answers in the class.